Hi guys, welcome back to another video on my reviews, and today I'm going to be talking about where I've been and some of the stuff I saw, some of the stuff that I encountered, and just kind of the experience I had in Manhattan over the weekend. So, this isn't really going to be a dedicated story time. These are just going to be some of the things I saw and my experiences overall. Just the good experiences, the bad experiences, everything that kind of, I saw. I'm going to say in general this was overall a very positive experience. This was my first trip to Manhattan. I had been wanting to go for a very long time, and I definitely love it. Definitely think it's felt right at home, as I thought I would. Large cities in general, I do just feel right at home there, especially in the older, more historic cities. Just in general, I would forgive a modern city if it had interesting architecture, but a lot of places now just feel very not even actual cities, but they're like as big as cities. I just feel whatever. I've been in Northern Virginia way too many times. And I just want to say overall this was a very positive experience, but there was a lot of stuff that I saw, some of it good, some of it bad, just in general stuff I saw that was interesting and that I wanted to kind of talk about. The big thing was that I went with my aunt, and I was gone for a week because we drove up, we saw some people, we were visiting some people on our way back. On our way up, we hang out at my aunt's house for like a couple days, and then we took the train on Saturday morning, got in around 2 o'clock on Saturday, and then left, pulled out of Grand Central about 2 o'clock on Monday, so we were there for about 48 hours exactly, and we left on Monday, then went back to their house, and then we drove home Tuesday morning and Wednesday. So anyway, I just got back last night, about 6 o'clock, but my aunt lives in Connecticut, so we trained down. It was about a 2-hour trip on the train from West Haven in Connecticut. It was about a 45-minute drive to West Haven from her house in West Hartford, and we left the car there, and all that went pretty well. So anyway, I'll tell you about some of the things we saw in Manhattan. I was staying on 32nd Street, East 32nd Street. I can't remember the name of the hotel actually, but it was a small historic hotel. My aunt got a really, really good deal on it. That's why we were able to do 2 nights. Normally, in the future, if I travel back, I'm probably not going to stay in Manhattan because it's too expensive. I was thinking my dad and I next year might drive upstate for this summer because, just for a few days, because my dad has some family upstate, wants to show me upstate New York. I was saying if we could stop by on the way back, maybe. And because I do live in the western part of Pennsylvania, and New York City is on the eastern side, so you go up in a big diamond, a big Pentagon, and then come back on the eastern side, go through Philadelphia, and drive back. It's about 5 hours on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, about 5 hours of nothing, unless you count Lancaster. But anyway, I still don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Lancaster? Lancaster. I think people in Pennsylvania say Lancaster, but that is not the way it looks on the sign. So anyway, I want to go back and talk about, because, we could go up to Erie and then go across and then back down, because we do know some people in Erie, and this is like really irrelevant to anything, but I have a friend in Erie. Just pray for her. She's been in surgery. If you do pray, I don't know, it's well wishes, I don't know. Just worried about it. She has cancer, and she's one of my favorite people in the world, and that really matters a lot to me. Anyway, so I'll tell you about some of the things I saw in Manhattan. This won't really be a story time, but it was absolutely crazy. The experience, I definitely would feel right at home there. The experience in general was just absolutely insane. We saw so much stuff. We didn't even do that much sightseeing. We tried. We didn't have a ton of time, but some of the stuff. I just want to say it was also a very emotional trip because my aunt and I, this trip had been 2 years in the making. It started as a joke, and basically she said she took her other person she helped raise, I can't really explain their relationship, but her friend's daughter to New York for her 17th birthday. So I was 15, and I threw that out there, hey, could you take me? And she said yes. So it's very emotional because I felt like I was going home for the first time. New York has always felt like my home, even though I'd never been there before. It felt like a calling. I used to joke that it doesn't exist because it's only this place in the movies, and like how it doesn't actually exist. Of course it does. I can confirm that. I was just teasing. So some of the crazy experiences before we even got there was on Thursday when we were driving, because we drove past New York City to get to Connecticut where my aunt lives, and we were driving from Philly and we were on the Turnpike, New Jersey Turnpike, and there's a few different ways up there to get around the city, but we were using the GPS to get over the Hudson, and we were in the car, and we were on the George Washington Bridge in evening rush hour, just when we happened to hit it, and what the GPS did. And my dad said this was probably one of the most stressful driving experiences he ever been in. This also cemented a decision of mine. I'm probably not going to drive ever, because just in general, I get really anxious about stuff, and lightning and storms and stuff, that was a whole other story from when I was in Virginia. I had a panic attack and all that. But it's just kind of like when it comes down to it, my dad says, don't like buses and trains make you anxious. Doesn't public transportation make you anxious? It's like small crowded spaces. And I'm like, no, honestly, would make me way more anxious to be driving a 2-ton vehicle between other 2-ton vehicles at 60 miles an hour and being responsible for all the lives therein. So that's just how it is. Driving for me is not really something that I am cut out to do. But anyway, going back to public transportation, and what I learned while I was in New York is that the crowds that really bother me are crowds in large indoor spaces. For instance, a Walmart, or like a large store like that, or a mall, or just like any sort of indoor venue. If it's a concert, sports thing, it's a stadium, an indoor stadium. I just do not like crowds in large indoor spaces. I think for me it's because there's not a lot of exits on small indoor spaces if there's not an easy exit, if it's like an elevator. But I don't really mind on public transportation so much because it makes a lot of stops, there's a lot of exits. Dust doesn't really bother me too much. If anything happened, I could just get out of the train and it would be fine. And when I'm on something like a elevator, it's like if it gets stuck between floors, then you're just stuck there and you can't get out. So outdoor crowded spaces don't bother me too much. If you're with someone, you should probably hold on to them. That's what we did, because we did not want to lose each other. My aunt gave me some emergency cash just in case anything happened, because I don't have a credit card. She gave me some emergency cash in case I got lost and needed a taxi or something back to the hotel. Just in general, just very safe. So this was so just seeing New York, just driving through that was insane. And then when I actually got there, it was my first time doing a lot of things. Obviously, my first time in New York City. Honestly, my first time in a major city outside of Pittsburgh was Philadelphia. On the way over, we were in Philadelphia for a couple hours. I was in New York for, I want to say I was in Philadelphia for 2 hours. I was in New York for 48 hours, so that changes everything. But I am saying I had never really been in a city like that outside of Pittsburgh. Both of those are very bigger than Pittsburgh. I've been in D.C., but D.C. is a completely different experience if you've ever been in D.C. Because I just have family who lives near there, so we would take the metro into D.C. sometimes. We haven't done it in a few years. We were going to do it this time, but it was too hot to walk around. We didn't want to walk around on the mall because it was too hot. But D.C. is a whole different experience. You don't have the skyscrapers. You have large open spaces. You have to walk to the museums. It's just a very different experience from a major city. So we have to talk about the experience of being in Manhattan for real. So when we trained in, I could kind of see some of the stuff. We were on like a train that only made a couple stops. They said if you wanted to transfer to get more stops on the local train. We like went through like Harlem. I saw part of Harlem. Like we didn't go there, but when we were on the train. And then we got out at Grand Central Station. Grand Central Station is a large indoor crowded space, so that was a little bit stressful for me. I was in awe of like the architecture and the ceiling. I don't generally like high ceilings. High ceilings bother me, but like it was so pretty. Just looking at the high ceiling. Now, if you guys follow me on Instagram or Twitter, but mostly Instagram, I probably posted some pictures. I probably have more pictures I could be posting. Probably should post even more pictures just as I'm going through my phone, because I definitely need to delete some of my pictures. But I have Instagram. I have like two that a couple that I'm really using now. Another cool thing. I'm bad about talking about stuff, but there was a lot of like graffiti and stuff when we were not driving, but when we were on the train, like by the train station and stuff. So I got a lot of pictures. I have like so many pictures. I have a couple Instagram accounts. The one I probably use the most is, it's going to be at shameless_fangirl. That's probably the one I use the most. It's a hodgepodge of random shit. And I just hit 1K on there. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for 100 subscribers on this channel. I appreciate all that. But anyway, going back, I also do have an account where I just post graffiti and stuff. But anyway, going back to the story. So this isn't really a story. It was just some of the interesting things I saw. So I saw like a large variety. It didn't really surprise me at all. Like nothing in New York really like caught me off guard or surprised me, I will say. No, except I just like, I mean, I was like in awe of how big it was. Just in awe that I was like finally there, but like nothing. Just seeing it in person was a whole different thing. But I never really imagined it any differently. Like New York was just how I imagined it, if that makes sense. Because I'd seen it, I'd seen pictures, I've seen movies, I've seen all that, and it was absolutely crazy. It was my first time being in a taxi. We didn't take the taxis much because it was expensive, but our hotel was about 10 blocks from Grand Central, and we had luggage, so we took it. And if my dad and I end up going next year, it'll probably just be for a day. We'll probably just stay outside the city and take the train, and we won't have any luggage, so that will not be a big deal. But yeah, so it was pretty crazy. I really, really enjoyed going, but it was definitely crazy. There were a lot of like not emotional breakdowns, but I kind of had that again. There was a lot of emotional baggage there. I've been depressed for the last 2 years, and everything that's happened or not happened in the last 2 years just been depressing. And it was just time to like stop and just time to put things in perspective. This is just a like fluffy pom-pom ball. I don't know where I got it. It's just sitting here. But yeah, so that was one of the things that I really was able to put things in perspective. We got a city pass. We got a Metro card. The city pass let us go to the Empire State Building at day and at night. We got a special pass. We went to the top of the Empire State Building during the day. It was amazing. I got to see, just looking out, seeing that. That was like one of the first things I did after we got into town, after we got into our hotel and had lunch. It was just crazy. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock. I got to look out, and it was just, I saw all the different sides. It was a bit crowded. The lines were kind of long, which was a bit annoying, but it wasn't the end of the world. Again, I am from Pittsburgh. I was born in Pittsburgh. I lived like 20 minutes from Pittsburgh. So anyway, they had this whole thing about Pittsburgh steel and stuff on this whole, like, how they used Pittsburgh steel to build the Empire State Building. And actually the town I'm from, which I won't say, like the little town I live in, which I won't say where it is, but also had like steel that got there, so pretty cool nonetheless. But anyway, so that was like a really cool feeling of like being from Pittsburgh and then seeing the Empire State Building because of Pittsburgh steel there. That was one of the really cool things I saw. Now the Empire State Building itself was really, really great. Getting to go to the top of it, just walking around, seeing it, and we did it again at night, which was absolutely, I did post a video, absolutely insanely emotional experience, just insane, just really, like, you think about the infinite possibilities of your life, you think about, like, everything you just think about, it puts everything in perspective, and I just had, like, a really, like, weird, like, moment. Like, I don't even know how to describe. It was just like I got mesmerized. I was just looking out toward like the Freedom Tower, towards some of those things on the other side of the town. And we never actually went into that neighborhood we were going to, but there were a lot of things we were going to do. We thought about doing Statue of Liberty. There were a lot of things we were going to do that we ended up not doing because it was a little bit overly ambitious for the time we were there, and there were some times I had to just like kind of go back and rest or talk things out because, again, a lot of really like hard stuff. We're just thinking about the future, thinking about my life. A lot of that was coming out. My aunt is someone I really, really vent to, so that was something that was great, but also very difficult to have to be able to talk about all this stuff, but also great to have someone to talk about it with. And it was just bringing up a lot of like really big life questions and just really big things that were coming out. And the good news is you don't have to figure it all out at once, and I can see that for you guys. But hopefully I'm going to be trying to like do better mentally. I just want to get myself into a better place. So that was kind of the like revelation I had on top of the Empire State Building in the dark at midnight. It was almost midnight when we got down. There was a guy playing saxophone just on the roof. It was great. So one of the other things was because that was what we did on the first day, and I actually can't remember what we did for dinner. It's kind of blurry. We went to like a Mexican restaurant, and Yeah, we were going to go to Times Square, but then it was really late, so we decided to do it the next day, and I'll get to that in a minute, but because that was its own crazy experience. I don't really think we did too much on the first day besides Empire State Building, but we just kind of walked around, saw a lot of stuff. I think there was something else that we did, but I actually can't remember what it was. It was just really crazy. Just a lot of the time we just walked, and it was just so interesting to see everything. But one of the things that, so some of the things, I mean, there's a lot of variety in people. Like, there was a lot of diversity. I've never really seen diversity like that where I live. A lot of Eastern, like, European immigrants from the steel mills and stuff, and then substantial African American population where I live, but there's really not a lot of other diversity. Even if you go to Pittsburgh, there's a little bit more. And I've been in certain places which have had certain, like, immigrant influxations. I've been in Northern Virginia a lot, and they have a lot of, like, Hispanic immigrants there because I hear people speaking Spanish a lot, like some of the workers at the hotels will stay out and just stuff. That's something I encounter a lot when I'm, like, down there, and but it's not really something I see at home at all. And also they have a large, like, Asian population down there. But anyway, the whole deal is that and I know it's expensive, but I think it's because there's, like, a lot of jobs in the D.C. area. That whole greater D.C. area has grown so much. Unfortunately, gotten really expensive as well. My aunt couldn't afford her apartment anymore, and she had to actually move into a low-income place because she couldn't afford her apartment anymore, and that was pretty crazy. And this was, like, 3 years ago. I don't even remember when this was. One of the crazy things was because their apartments hadn't been updated in so long, and they still don't have elevators in them. They were built in the 60s, and it's just very, very crazy to me. My dad said they were updated in the 90s, but I wouldn't know because she had to stay with her parents or something when they got them updated. Anyway, she had been in that same apartment for so long she had to get kicked out because the value of the area went up and all the rent went up. But one of the really weird things I do remember is that she actually got evicted and then was able to, like, move back in, which is really weird because of the way her she was getting, like, help for, like, financial help paying the rent. Like, I don't actually remember. It was just a really weird, crazy story. But that's not really related to anything. It's just a weird thing that happened. But she's fine. She's just the place she's in now is, like, for seniors, but it also pulls on her Social Security, so it's not really that expensive, but she doesn't have any money, so it's just, like, whatever, outside of Social Security. But this isn't about my aunt in Northern Virginia. I was just saying how expensive and weird that area is. It's just crazy. But anyway, so much diversity I saw, and I was really awkward the entire time. I was like, do I fit in? Do I fit in? And I was kind of realizing there is no, like, one in style in New York City. There's just so many, like, different clothing styles, so much diversity, and also so much, like, just different ethnic groups, all that. And again, I remember a couple of the things I ended up seeing. I saw one person, like, in the streets dancing, and then I saw one guy in Central Park just dancing. He had his headphones on, and I thought of, like, Star-Lord and Guardians of the Galaxy just, like, dancing. So there were a lot of taxis, a lot of traffic, just crazy traffic. I thought I was going to get, like, run over. A lot of walking. I wore flip-flops to the Empire State Building, which is a bad idea, so I ended up getting some Skechers at Macy's, and they're super cute. My aunt got them for me. They're super cute because I can't afford nice shoes anymore because Payless closed. Fuck you. Anyway, yeah, so, so really, really cute. I ended up getting some really cute clothes as well. I got some Ariana Grande Thank You Next shirt at Times Square, and I got H&M, and I got a New York sparkly pink New York City shirt at the Empire State Building. And it's really weird because I'm like my sense of fashion, like I'm, like, really androgynous, but then, like, so I saw this, like, uber feminine Empire State shirt, and I'm like, I need that. Oh my god. So anyway, pretty weird. I was just kind of feeling, like, out of, like, not myself, if that makes sense. Like, I felt I was almost, like, putting on a persona. I was just being very, like, outgoing and just kind of like not who I really am, but at the same time I felt right at home. So it's very weird and hard to explain. That was on Monday morning. That was what we did before we left. Was we just walked around Central Park a good bit. My aunt showed me where they got married, and that was one of the things that was really nice. It was just really pretty, and now we have to get into the nitty gritty of it. So maybe I should just start here and like back up a bit because before I talk about the one that was really so we were on the Bow Bridge in Central Park, and this guy who was looked like a Tibetan monk, I don't know if he actually was or not, came up to us and put these prayer beads on our arms. I might still have mine. I have to find them. But then he asked for a donation, and I think he was asking for a donation for his I can find the beads. I found them. He was asking for a donation for his whatever organization, and I still have this from the Guggenheim. It was a really cool art museum that we went to. Anyway, I was asking for donations, and so that was neat. But my aunt put down $5, and then he's like, no, 20. He wanted her to give him $20, and then she's like, no, you can take these beads back, and then he's just like, no, it's fine. Like 5 is fine, but she had to give him 10 because 5 for each of us. So it's just like really awkward. And she's like, I shouldn't have done that because like it's just really awkward. We got scammed by a monk. But that was one of the ones. But some of the other okay, so in Times Square there was a guy dressed as Mario, and I love Nintendo. I love Mario, so I went up to him and he's just like, hi, and I'm like, Mario. And then my aunt saw that I was getting a picture of Mario, and she was so nice. And she's like, hey, do you want to pose for a picture? So I posed her a picture of Mario, but then there was a guy dressed as Mickey Mouse and a guy dressed as Elmo, and they both tried to get into the picture. And we did go to Times Square at night on Sunday night. It was really awesome. I'll get into that. Again, I went to H&M and got Ariana Grande merch. But anyway, this guy was just like, wanted to get in the picture, the Mickey Mouse guy and the Elmo. My aunt was like, sorry, like Mario is the desirable one or something. And then they just kind of went, Mickey Mouse was kind of like, and so Mario was really nice. Like, he was a really nice guy. He had the accent. He's like, however much. He's like, 5, 10, whatever. Like, however much money you want to give him. So that was really nice. But these other guys were just kind of like, wah! So I'm definitely kind of pushy, kind of wanted to get in the picture, wanted to get money. One of the best experiences I had, it was on Sunday, early in the day, was we actually walked down. I think we took the bus because the subways on the east side weren't running for some reason. So we took the bus up a few blocks to like the area, like Central Park South, and that whole area, and down where, and like Trump Tower is down near there. So I went to like see Trump Tower, and this was actually a really interesting experience. This was pretty fun because there was a Trump impersonator outside Trump Tower, just like, he had this like rubber Trump mask on, and he was just having so much fun with it. He was like so in character, and I said something about his mask, and he pointed at me like and then we just kind of walked down to Trump Tower, and my aunt wanted to get this picture of me with all the menu of like their Trump restaurants, Trump this and that. But there was like a guy there. They had like police officers guarding the doors with AKs, and I was just kind of like, so there wasn't really a problem with it, but it just made me kind of uncomfortable. And my dad says that the First Lady actually lives there. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would explain why it was guarded. So they had police there, and like guarding the tower, and obviously they would not have done anything unless I had tried to hurt someone or tried to steal something or whatever. He actually moved aside a bit for me to get the picture, but I'm just kind of like, I don't think so. But there was a Gucci store inside Trump Tower, and I didn't go inside, but I just saw it through the window. They had these really creepy like dolls, just like animal dolls. I don't know, like at the Gucci store. It's pretty creepy. My aunt got me some pictures of that. But the best part was when the Trump impersonator, we saw him just walking around. He took off his mask. He was actually, seemed like a really nice guy. And unlike Mickey Mouse and some of the other people, I don't think he was in it for the money at all. I think he was just having a lot of fun. Because that is a very expensive neighborhood. I could tell, very like bougie, expensive neighborhood. So he was just having so much fun with the Trump impersonation, and he did the pointing, and we actually got a picture. He charged $3. He's like, I charged $3. He just had like this really funny like Trump voice, and my aunt's like, yeah, that's fine. And then I was joking, I made him laugh. I was joking, if you were the real Trump, you would have charged like $300. So I was just making him laugh. And then I got a picture with him, and he's like pointing at me and like pointing at the camera. And I'm sitting there, and my aunt got a picture. So, that was pretty great. So that was a pretty great thing. But, that was one of the good things. Or before I get into Times Square a little bit more, so I do have to talk about 2 or 3 things that weren't so great. Well, other than the traffic jam getting on the way there, but I already talked about people trying to like scam us for money. That was one of the things that was not so great. But like I felt like the Mickey Mouse guy was trying to scam us. And my aunt felt so bad. Like she's like, I felt like I was rude to Mickey Mouse, and I'm like, honey, we're in Times Square. And that's when I have to get into it, that there were a lot of like homeless people and a lot of people like sleeping on the street like in Times Square at night, which wasn't really surprising to me, but still just, and I don't mean that as like a bad thing, like I'm not saying it's a bad thing, like, man, I hate homeless people, like, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying it's bad for them, you know what I mean, like, I mean, it wasn't, like, a bad thing for me, because it's not, like, if that makes sense, like, I didn't make it sound like, oh, they were not trying to rip us off, like, that wasn't the situation. Actually, one of the really cool things we did see in the midst of all that, there was one guy who was just drumming, and he had no arms, and that was, like, so cool, but I don't know if he was homeless or not, he was just there, but there were a lot of homeless people, and one of the, but you know, it was like 11 o'clock when we were at Times Square, so there were a lot of people sleeping, like, on the street, like, I kind of understood, like, that kind of made sense to me, but, the really weird one was actually when we first got into our hotel, because the taxi dropped us off right there, when we first left our hotel and we're walking down to get lunch, I want to say it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and this experience was really weird to me, like, not weird, just like, something that, you know, you see something and you, like, won't forget it, so, there was this guy, and, he was, like, lying on the street, like, on the sidewalk, and I thought he, like, the way he was lying, I'm not, like, laughing because it's funny, I'm just, like, involuntarily just, like, you know, like, coping mechanism, right, and the way he was lying, like, I just walked, and I saw this guy, like, I almost ran into him, like, I saw this guy, and it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was, like, lying, like, face down like that, and I thought, like, like, I thought he was dead, like, I thought somebody had, like, I don't know, like, I just thought he was, like, dead. Again, I'm not, like, laughing, I'm not, like, laughing at this guy, or, like, oh, this is so funny, it's just, like, an involuntary reaction, if that makes sense, like, when your body has, like, an involuntary reaction, because it's just so, like, when you deal with, like, trauma or stress, and it's just, like, ah, like that, I'm not saying this was funny at all, because it wasn't, but I thought, he was dead, and I was just, again, I said I saw a lot of people sleeping on the street, like, at Times Square, like, 11 o'clock, which kind of made sense, but this was just, like, this guy, and it was, like, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he wasn't dead, he was sleeping, we walked back later, and he was lying very still, he walked back later, he was sitting up, like, he was not dead, but, it was just, like, really weird, like, and, just was not expecting to see that, just, like, there, and, like, I had this, like, weird thought, like, what if he's just, like, dead, and then later on the same day, we were walking to dinner, I think, and there was this girl, and she was just, like, yelling, like, she was standing in the street, like, by the way, the other thing about New York is that everyone is, like, really friendly, for the most part, like, everyone's like, oh, everyone's so rude, except for the monk who tried to scam us. Everyone is, like, really friendly, which was so nice, partly because my aunt is really friendly, and I think it's contagious. In general, what I'm going to say is if you say New York is rude, try to be just, like, really friendly in general, and they'll be really friendly back. Good chances you're the problem. But they are rude drivers, though, I will say that. In Pittsburgh, we have this friendly honk that if you know, see someone you know in Pittsburgh, Pittsburghers are kind of loud and outgoing about, like, whoa, I'm from Pittsburgh. And if you see someone you know in Pittsburgh, you'll, like, honk at them, and, like, it's, like, a friendly honk thing, but in New York, nothing like that, you just hear, like, it's just very crazy. But anyway, going back to, like, everyone I had seen up until this point have been, like, super friendly, nice, or just, you know, walking, just doing whatever, and I hadn't, like, talked to them, like, this one girl was like really mad, and she had like kind of like messy messy hair, and I don't know, was wearing like sweatshirt, like nothing like really fancy, I don't know. And I'm not saying that's bad, you can wear whatever you want, but I'm just saying giving into this like girls, like what she looked like. And this guy, she was yelling at this guy about something. I don't even remember what she was yelling about. Something about someone searching her bag or something, and he was yelling at this guy who looked like Lil Wayne. Like, I think he wasn't, but this guy was just standing here. He was short and had like the hair, and he looked like Lil Wayne. And this girl, and it was kind of dark, it was kind of dusky when I saw this, and I saw her, and oh yeah, because we had to buy shoes before we went to, no, I think we went to dinner and borrowed shoes, and then we bought shoes later. That was the other thing we did, was we got shoes. But anyway, I saw her, and I just couldn't tell in the dark, like, if she had, like, a red mark or something on her face, and I was just worried, did she get beat up, or, like, is that a bruise, is that a, like, it could have just been paint or makeup or something, but, like, it just looked weird, and, like, I just had this, like, same, like, reaction, like, is that girl okay? Like, I kind of had, like, the same, like, and I never knew, like, I never got any sort of, like, answer on that, like, at least if the other guy, it's like, oh, well, he's not dead, because, he wasn't dead, I don't know. But then, but yeah, it was just, like, weird. And I was very, very worried about this girl. And one of the things at the Empire State Building, which was still a really great experience, they had a lot of bars and very, very secure. It goes all the way up, and it's, like, you would impale yourself trying to get up there. Like, it's so sharp, you would probably die. And for some reason, it made me think of, like, Border Patrol and just, like, those types of walls. I don't know why, but it just gave me, like, a really weird feeling. And then also, I was just kind of wondering, like, my brain goes into really dark places. Again, I have, like, a morbid brain. Just, like, what would happen if someone, like, wanted to jump off the Empire State Building, or, like, I wonder why they have those walls like that. Is that because, like, someone tried to, like, do that, or, like, just, like, I don't know. So, anyway, about the guy, we saw him, like, every time we walked past, he'd be there, and then he wasn't there the next day, so I was worried, like, what if he died or something? Like, it was just really weird, because he had sat there the entire day, and hadn't, like, as far as I could tell, hadn't, like, done anything, like, you know, like, it was just weird. And but he was gone, so I'm hoping that, like, somebody, like, helped him or something, because, like, otherwise it was just whatever. But, I mean, I was, like, hoping that was a good thing that he was gone, but, like, it was just weird. And then the last day, there was another guy. It wasn't the same guy, I don't think. My aunt said it wasn't the same guy. I couldn't tell. We were just sitting in, like, the same spot. I'm like, I don't know, like, what about that spot next to a hotel, but it just was. But, maybe because there was, like, scaffolding in the, like, entire area, you could, like, be under the scaffolding. I don't know, but there was, like, a lot of scaffolding. That's the other thing, was that they were, like, working on stuff, and there was, like, a lot of scaffolding. That would actually make sense to, like, be under the scaffolding. But the weather was gorgeous, by the way. It wasn't raining, it wasn't doing anything. Like, it was absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, so I was glad that the weather was so nice, because driving in when we got to Philly, it was absolutely pouring rain, just, like, absolutely terrible rainstorm. But fortunately, it wasn't that bad. Fortunately, we were able to just kind of do whatever, and it was great. Honestly, it was great. It was a pretty good experience. But that was just some of the stuff I saw. Times Square in general was really crazy, just seeing all the lights and stuff. It's beautiful in a very advertising kind of way, which is weird, because I usually don't like advertisements and stuff, but Times Square is, like, a special thing, like, but there were a lot of, like, homeless people, and I don't mean that, again, I'm not trying to be like, oh man, homeless people, I sound like such a stuck-up, I don't mean that as, like, a stuck-up person, it's just that this is what I mean, like, we went on, like, we had these, like, very long conversations about things, and how, like, when, and honestly, I was just reading about Taylor Swift's house in your neighborhood. We didn't go there, but down in Tribeca, and, how wealthy it is, and basically, just kind of, like, you realize and she's given so much stuff away. I saw all her acts of philanthropy. I'm trying to put this camera back, but I saw her, this isn't even a camera, it's just an iPod. I saw all of her acts of philanthropy, and it's just like, the fact that rich people like Bill Gates can give away so much money and still be rich, it's a flaw of the system, and that's the takeaway that I'm seeing. It's just unfair. Everything is unfair, and I'm not saying that because I'm like some brat and I'm like, everything's unfair, because I've been there before. I just want to say, like, the kind of group circles I'm in and the kind of situations I'm in, I'm usually, like, most of my friends, like, have more money than me. I don't want to say that, like, but, like, I'm saying I've been, like, mad at stuff before, but, like, now I'm just, like, I'm not even, like, mad. I'm just, like, well, I'm not even mad about, like, my shit. The only thing I'm worried about is I need a job because I need money, but, I can't, I'm gonna have to finish school first, but I might just get my GED. Made some several important life decisions. I'm going to retake geometry. I'm going to get my GED. Like, I just made some several important life decisions while I'm there. After this year, I'm still doing one more year of school because I can't move out until I'm 18, so I'll start looking for jobs in Pittsburgh, but you get the point. It's just, like, whatever. So, assuming I can, like, actually find a job in Pittsburgh. I hope, like, I don't, like, you know what I mean. I'm sure I can find something. It's just, like, whatever. I don't think I could find a job, like, in my town, but I could find a job in Pittsburgh. But anyway, yeah, so I had, like, a lot of, like, really interesting experiences, and I just want to say, it's hard. One of the things that's hard about going to somewhere like that, if you're me, is because you can't actively care about 8 million people. It's exhausting. And I know it sounds so weird, but it's like, I mean, I'm like the type of person, I say, like, it makes me upset because I can't help everyone, and this is, like, how I am. I'm this type of person, and I'm like, oh, well, there are starving people in other countries right now, and I can't do anything about it, and it's just, like, it sucks, and I always feel so guilty for wasting food. I always end up wasting food when I'm traveling because I can't take it with me, but it's, like, so expensive, and it's, even if it's not expensive, it's just, like, wow, I'm saving this much food, and it's just going to go in the trash, and I'm not saying, like, figurative, like, literally I would not feed half-eaten food to people, but it's just kind of like the whole system of, like, why do they make food portions so large? Do they want you to waste it? Like, that's what it feels like. They want to trick you into spending more money and then just waste it. They don't care. And it's just, like, same thing with restaurants that throw away perfectly good food and just shit. It's just, like, obviously I wouldn't want to feed anyone, like, half-eaten salad. That'd be gross, but, like, what I mean is, like, could you serve me a bowl of salad that's this big and not this big? Because my appetite, I don't eat that much. And if they should have at least size options. If someone wants to eat more, they should have a larger one. But that should not be the small size. This should be, like, the small size. Something that I can actually finish and make less food. Restaurants also need to cook less food, and just portion sizes are ridiculous in America. It's ridiculous, and it's just, like, so much food gets wasted, and it makes me upset, and I always feel guilty for wasting food, but I don't really have a choice. Even if it's really good food, I just cannot eat it. I'm not going to force myself to stuff myself. I'm not going to get sick because it makes me sick. I don't eat a lot, like, large portions, and before you ask me, like, I don't have an eating disorder or anything. I'm fine. It's not that. It's just that I just don't eat large portions. I just get full really easily. So anyway, I can't think of too much else. The other's Trump Tower. Walking in Central Park. Leaving was just really exciting. I know when I'm going to go back, but I may go back next year. I do have a text. So I should probably. All right. I should probably go because this has gotten to be a way longer video than I thought it would be, but I just want to say that in general, you guys are awesome, and I, like, no bad feelings towards anyone I saw. Like, I forgot to even talk about the guy on the train who was just, like, asking for money, like, was homeless and asking for money. She's like, anyway, but there was, like, so much that I, like, can barely even straighten my thoughts out and just think about this, because this was, like, such a hard trip, but such a good trip, if that makes sense. But anyway, guys, wow, I'm still recovering, but yeah, so please, just be nice. Just in general, try to be good person. Like, that sounds so fucking weird, but like, people in New York are actually really friendly. Even though people don't say they are actually really friendly. I can tell you that firsthand. Occasionally you'll get a monk trying to scam you, but at the end of the day, it's just whatever. And yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, it's just whatever. So anyway, I'm back, and I will be making more normal videos soon. Don't worry about that. I will do that. Don't worry. But I just wanted to talk about my experience a little bit, and just some of what I saw and some of how it feels to be like just in Manhattan for the first time. I felt like I went home, but it was also just like really difficult to see everything going on, and just in general, there's a lot of really cool stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna go now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.